what that means, you're going up against somebody who got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
I told you you can't trust me. Now Puffy done killed Tupac, man.
Puffy's a sucker, man.
Puff said he's gonna walk up on 50 Cent
yeah.
and punch him in the face.
Yeah, he said, I'm just gonna punch him in the face.
Informed Curtis, I'm not done yet. Shortly after Diddy's victory in his RICO case, 50 Cent received this note. Insiders claim it wasn't from one of his attorneys. Diddy was to blame. You've probably heard by now that Diddy was the most serious charge against him was withdrawn. Shortly after the verdict, a screenshot of 50 was made public, revealing that a burner account had sent him a threatening message. Everyone is aware that 50 has been on images such as this one in which 50 states, "You know there ain't no seat on that bike, right?" have been used to mock Diddy's case on social media for years. In addition to being dirty on Instagram, 50 was dragging Diddy in interviews and called him fluffy.
Away from that, I explained why I didn't hang out with him, right? Because it's a little fluffy stuff going on.
It's not your scene.
It's not my stuff.
However, this is not the same. As you can see, 50 is doing a documentary, and Diddy is now threatening 50 with a fictitious account. Had he done that? And why is this the case? Even after the verdict, the documentary is still in the planning phases. In addition, 50 pledged to reveal far more information than was disclosed throughout the trial. But what's 50 sitting on? Is it the reason Diddy just threatened him? If you pay careful attention to the trial, you know that a lot of dubious things occurred. As in the case of Morankami, the man who reportedly assisted in the cover-up of the Epstein case abruptly replaced the original prosecutor. Next is Christina Quorum, Diddy's right-hand lady. Several witnesses named her as a co-conspirator. However, no one is aware of Christina's location, and she was disregarded by federal officials. Even more upsetting content can be found in the mainstream media. Buried. However, 50 Cent has now pledged to make all of that and more public. You can tell how frantic Diddy is to keep it that way though, since he might be walking free. It is obvious from his threat to 50 that he will do all it takes to keep himself safe. In addition, it is impossible to predict what Diddy will do after he leaves. He may do something far more heinous, or he may target the 50's business dealings and partnerships. Considering that Capricorn Clark, a witness, earlier told us that Diddy intended to remove 50
We started off this morning with Capricorn Clark. She's a former Diddy assistant, former marketing manager for Sean John. Oh, she talked about 50 Cent. So I don't know what year this was, but she said that Diddy was doing a press event with 50 Cent at MTV, and they actually shared the same manager at this point, and his name was Chris Lighty. And she said that Chris Lighty and herself and Diddy got into an elevator, and Diddy was having a problem with 50 Cent, and he said something like, you know, I don't like the back and forth, I like guns.
Let's investigate that alarming statement. Because this was not just a discussion about keeping in your lane. The message that was sent was, "Tell Curtis I'm not done yet," and the burner account hasn't spoken for several months. That one sentence survived the verdict hours after it was rendered. It gets gloomy at this point. He has already been threatened, according to sources close to 50. 50 actually had a public reaction when he learned that Diddy was going to take him out. In May, Capricorn Clark, Diddy's former secretary, testified that she had accompanied Diddy to a press event at MTV where she overheard him tell a security guard that he preferred firearms to people and ignorance. Capricorn claims that Diddy was also bringing up his rivalry with 50 Cent, who was present on that particular day. According to what Capricorn said, Mr. Combs informed Chris Lighty, "I have a gun." 50 Cent was the source of his troubles. How did 50 respond to this? He tweeted an eye image of himself appearing worried, captioning it, "Oh my goodness. Itty bitty Diddy wants me dead. 50 being 50. I must be hidden. At tonight's playoff game, I guess I'll hide away. But this is indeed that thing." At the time of this in May, we were all still certain that Diddy would receive a life sentence. Diddy was exonerated of the most serious charge, RICO conspiracy, but the jury declared him not guilty of 3 of the 5 accusations. Diddy was accused of 2 charges of transportation for the prostitution of Cassie and another lady named Jane, according to NBC News. What does this actually entail in terms of potential jail time? Will Diddy get away with this? Does this make him feel comfortable enough to threaten 50 Cent? Diddy and his group were sure that Diddy would return. Home on the day the verdict was handed out. Diddy, nevertheless, was not granted bail. News Nation claims that Judge Aaron Subramanian has decided that Diddy is too dangerous to be released. Diddy's penalty for the two, he will be in custody until October 3rd, when the guilty verdict is delivered. According to People magazine, Diddy faces a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison, with 10 years for each of the two charges he was found guilty of. Now that Diddy has been sentenced, his attorneys will most likely appeal both his guilt and his punishment. We'll have to wait and see if he actually serves that long. Now let's get back to 50 Cent. What is it? Even worse, Diddy hasn't been sentenced yet. However, he has already pledged retaliation. He is aware, for example, of his freedom. However, why is Diddy targeting number 50 for retaliation? Yes, ever since Cassie abandoned her case almost 2 years ago, 50 has been taunting and mocking. Diddy, 50 was doing that before things went wrong. Since the early 2000s, Diddy and 50 have been at odds. Furthermore, 50 was the first to openly raise doubts about Diddy's sexual orientation. It has been around for a while. It wasn't just Diddy who was harassed online by 50. He revealed the argument's potential source. On The Breakfast Club, 50 Cent provided this explanation for his decision to begin making fun of Diddy 8 years ago.
Now, Fifth, when you continuously call Puff gay, does that affect your relationships in Hollywood?
I don't call him gay. I said.
Let me read it, Fifth.
Oh my God.
Sorry I can no longer help you guys. Soon you will all be gay and happy. You are all now left under leadership of Puffy Daddy. Report to the nearest rainbow. Dinner Thieves in theaters January 9th.
That's why I get uncomfortable. Like he said something to me one time, a long time ago. At Chris Lighty's wedding, he told me he'd take me shopping. I looked at him like, what'd you just say? Let me move, man, before I do something. You're gonna make me mess up the wedding.
Oh, that's a nice gesture.
Let me get out of no, dude, take me. That's what a guy says to a girl.
But you've been getting out for over a decade. I remember when you said the top feels so much better than the bottom.
Yeah, I've been saying this. Everybody see. Don't make like it's just me, man. Fluffy do some like a little fluffy stuff.
Now you guys
on.
are all in some hip hop beef, okay?
To these jokes, Diddy wants to do something to 50. The stakes are bigger this time, but he could have done it years before. Diddy did it. 50 Cent's upcoming documentary is also related to all of this. What's that? As it was just revealed that 50 is shifting its course with his doctor, and he's now interested in learning more about Diddy's supporters. My documentary series will be a complex narrative spanning decades, not just the headlines or clips seen so far, 50 Variety announced. Now, did he do the original intent was to highlight Diddy's ridiculous actions, particularly his freak-off parties with other well-known individuals. But now that Diddy has lost, the undertaking is now more dangerous and evil because of the RICO indictment. A recent video purporting to be from the 50th documentary revealed what appeared to be an Eyes Wide Shut celebration at Diddy's mansion. The complete 9, deer antlers, masks, and ritualistic vibes.
It will be exposed. I mean, when I walk in, I definitely take pride in being the originator of the preparation of the sex. Little things that I personally like. A lot of ladies, they just, so you have, if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave. Right. Gotta keep them there. Right. You need locks on the doors. P. Diddy be wanting the body. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. All of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is.
The documentary from the 1950s will reveal a far darker side of this story that most people are unaware of if the tape is authentic. But things get worse. People close to the production say that 50 made the decision to examine the details of the story that were overlooked during the trial, as well as he wishes to deal with the present issue. In other words, Diddy is accused of being a government asset, and the trial was set up to distract attention. Do you remember when Kanye called Diddy a Fed? Seems to have discovered proof supporting this theory.
Puff Daddy, whoever, none of these, all you fake hard. Hold on. Okay. All you fake hard. You know what I'm saying? I don't get because you can't shoot nobody anyway, and the reason why you gotta talk is because you did a deal, you fed. You know what I'm saying? That's why you gotta come at me, because part of the deal for you to be able to do all that and get out of jail is that you promise that you're gonna go pull my coat.
However, how can he demonstrate that Diddy might have been a government asset? First, he wants a segment of his documentary project to focus on Christina Koren, Diddy's enigmatic acquaintance and purported madam, who is purportedly what Galen Jeffrey Epstein said Maxwell was. The mainstream press claimed that Christina Koren, Diddy's longtime right-hand lady, was the key to the case when he was jailed last year.
New speculation: a woman at the center of Sean's orbit and business empire could potentially hold the key to the prosecution. She is Christina Koren, seen here with Diddy in Florida in November after he settled his case with ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura. Diddy posted this photo of her to Facebook saying, "Christina, aka KK, keeps everything in my life and my business running. She's my right hand." In a separate lawsuit against Combs, music producer Rodney Jones used this same photo, calling Koren the Ghislaine Maxwell to Sean Combs' Jeffrey Epstein. She was referenced 64 times in that suit.
Yet during the trial, Christina's name was hardly mentioned. Cassie did bring up Christina in her testimony, saying that she was being watched by her on Diddy's behalf. Cassie stated in her testimony that she spoke with Christina nearly daily about the schedule, Diddy's feelings, and how to deal with him that day. "I spoke with KK about a variety of subjects. Cassie claimed to be well familiar with my private life." Jane, another victim, displayed a text message she got from Christina saying, "It's okay," and encouraging her to smuggle illegal drugs onto a commercial airline. "I always act in that manner, so why didn't Christina get asked to testify?" CNN reports that Diddy's prosecutors first called Christina one of Diddy's different conspirators. Then, however, they stopped talking about her at all. If she had been Diddy's co-conspirator, calling her to testify would have demonstrated the racketeering element. It is completely illogical. The reason 50 Cent wants to make Christina famous is just this. Some who support the prosecution have even begun to speculate that Christina is the reason it failed. The situation. Some even argue that the trial was a cover-up to protect those in positions of power. People believe the Diddy story is over, but it's not, one ex-user stated. The state was involved in the cover-up to a great extent. More details will be forthcoming. Perhaps you're wondering why, if a certain commie was engaged, Christina Koren KK wasn't invited to testify. There are further things. In all of this, what part does this commie person play? Maureen Comey, the case's primary prosecutor, was brought on board on November 25, 2024, 2 weeks after Diddy's arrest and Damon Williams' retirement announcement. And that was all at a very strange time. Diddy was overseen by Damon Williams. As soon as possible. He backed out right before Diddy's trial, but why? In reference to the prosecution of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, the commie name is the same as Maureen. Currently, there are claims that some U.S. government officials may have purposefully ignored Diddy's blackmail scheme or even helped it, since his claimed blackmail database contains footage and information of prominent public figures, media moguls, and business executives. It appears that during the raids, federal authorities seized a significant quantity of videos from Diddy's residences. To date, the identities of the individuals in the videos have remained confidential. If this is the case, the issue is much more significant than Diddy. It is more clear that Diddy, like Jeffrey Epstein, was merely a middleman. Presently, there is speculation that running a clandestine operation for a much more powerful group, Diddy was a protected intelligence asset. According to Brett Tellman, a former U.S. attorney, Diddy and Epstein actually carried out extortion schemes that were largely comparable.
Epstein, you see others, there's rumors that float around that they worked, with the government agencies at times, and I would not doubt that. I would not doubt that there were CIA operations or FBI operations that were ongoing over the many decades in which many times these individuals were operating, criminally. And you go back to Epstein, and I was flabbergasted at the deal that, my colleague and friend, Alex Acosta, the U.S. attorney at the time in Florida, offered to Epstein I mean, the only reason that you would believe that such a deal would be granted in that kind of a case and investigation was if there was solid information. Of course, we'll never know at this point, but there had to have been some solid information about some very high-level targets in order to give such a deal to an individual that was such a criminal.
50 Cent is receiving threats, which is not surprising considering that it extends much beyond Diddy's if he is truly looking into all of this for his documentary. 50 also recently said he has no intention of backing down, even though fans are already cautioning him to exercise caution. His Instagram was overrun with comments from fans saying Diddy will get the F off my page talking about is how 50 clapped back, calling Diddy a gay Teflon Don. He ought to frighten me. 50 claims that his fear has subsided. The individuals he is exposing, however, are not merely dishonest. They recall that they own the game.